It's time to wake up, recover from last night's mess, and get your fix of sports caffeine. It's time to kickstart your day with the latest sports news and opinions. Get ready. Sports Caffeine is live in 3, 2, 1.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi, Taylor.
Morning.
Happy President's Day.
What's up?
Happy Valentine's Day.
President's
Happy President's Day. Holiday weekend. So hopefully not everyone's sleeping in today. Hopefully they're here watching us because we are back Monday mornings, 9 a.m. Me and Taylor.
How about that?
Finally, football season's over. Well, not finally. It's sad. But I won't be so hungover on Monday mornings. So I'm capable of doing a show now.
Right. It was not only Saturdays drinking, then it was Sundays drinking, and then Mondays was just an awful day. So yeah, ready to rock and roll, ready to move into my leisure sports such as baseball and relax and not really have to pay attention, but still enjoy it at the same time. So
yeah, spring training's coming up, which is huge for us down here in Sarasota and Southwest Florida, all of Florida actually, with spring training. But let's go back to football. Last time we were together on a show was Super Bowl Sunday.
It was.
I the score was going to be 35-34 Kansas City Chiefs, and boy, was I wrong.
I said 34-26 Chiefs, so I was wrong as well. I said that number specifically because those were my square numbers, but I did horrible on the squares and obviously horrible on my picks.
Yeah, I didn't win one square. I bet the Bucks would cover, and I picked the over, which was 56, which also did not happen. I was a big loser all day long. It was not a loser, though. It was Tampa Bay Bucks fans. So it was great. The bar we were at, Rafferty's, was full of Bucks fans, the Chiefs fans too, but it was really great for the city to see that. And I was really rooting for them. I apologize for that. And I was really happy to see them.
Well, yeah, the Chiefs took out your Browns, so that makes sense.
I did get interviewed on the news. One of the Tampa news stations were there, but they did not put my interview on the air. I have a feeling it had something to do with the level of intoxication I was at.
Yep. They didn't find it troubling in filming other Bucks players that were intoxicated, though. They definitely found that they were looking for that. So
that was going to be my next topic. So Tom Brady, a lot of people don't like him for no good reason other than he's a perfect person. He's amazing at what he does. He's a good dad. He's a good player. He's good looking. He doesn't put bad things in his body, except last Wednesday. I don't know, was it Wednesday, Thursday during that Super Bowl parade? It sounded like he had some avocado tequila, I think he called it.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, well, he tweeted something about some avocado tequila, and he was pretty hammered getting off that boat, it looked like. But do you like Tom Brady better after watching him in that parade?
I always had this feeling about Tom Brady being kind of a closet drinker and so on and so forth, just because I feel like if he's that good of friends with Gronk and the way they have a bromance together, you kind of automatically assume that he indulges with, the Gronk party life. Maybe not as day to day as Gronk does, but you could totally tell that, they hang out, they go out, they have some beers, and then they maybe do it kind of Derek Jeter style. You got to sign a little NDA beforehand. You got to be secretive and do this kind of stuff. So I always kind of had this feeling that he was a little bit of a party animal, but didn't do it to the extent that Gronk did. The most amazing thing was the toss of the Super Bowl trophy to Cameron Brate. The whole thing I was thinking that whole throw is that he was going to knock him out and gash his head open or something with the end of it, but he made a great catch.
He's the goat. I mean, football, metal football, whatever it is, he can throw it. So when I moved to Florida, and a lot of people tell me this, when they move to Florida, it's like party central because the weather's nice. We're always outside. Let's go sit at a tiki bar and get a drink. We just all turn to alcoholics when you move to Florida. And I think Tom Brady's kind of that mentality now. He's not in this regimented, Bill Belichick, cold New England, nothing to do. I think now that he's in Florida, he's going to be one of us cool party people who hey. Also, you mentioned him and Gronk. I bet you they go get a few beers together, but then Tom goes home to Giselle and he's like, all right, thanks, man. That was fun. And Gronk's once he's gone, buying the whole bar shots, and Gronk's the one out till 4 a.m. where Tom's probably a little bit more responsible. But Gronk was like looking good, and that his little Bucks beads there dancing, and so that was really fun. That was really fun for the city of Tampa. And Bruce Arians, I love Bruce Arians. I've been a Bruce Arians fan, so I'm happy for him, and I'm happy to.
Yeah, he was pounding some beers.
Now I think I'm gonna praise Tom Brady. I just like him a lot better ever seeing that, which is probably the stupidest thing ever, but it's true.
Yeah.
He's a little more human now.
Yeah, they got a little bit of flack for the no mask thing, and pretty much the whole city did. I mean, really for the no mask thing and the party thing. But then you got a lot of kickback saying, I mean, it's a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I don't know. It's kind of a weird balance for everyone to tiptoe when it comes to that sort of thing. And some players had their masks and were taking them down to drink, and then you're constantly drinking. So I mean, it's kind of a weird situation.
Taylor, someone wants you to put a shirt on. Why don't you show what shirt you're wearing today?
Oh yeah, Stugatz Army. I'm part of the Stugatz Army. Obviously, now that they're streaming on their own podcast, big Le Batard fan. So
maybe we can get them on FanStream Sports. I know
yeah,
a new podcast host. That'd be fantastic. Come on down, Stugatz. Dan, we're here for you.
Hey, Stugatz goes to Bradenton, so he's nearby when he comes up here. So Stugatz.
So they want to admit how wrong you were about the Bucks. So I don't know who this Facebook user is.
Well, I was wrong about the Bucks. I said they wouldn't even make the playoffs, and honestly, there were a few games that kind of went their way, luckily for them, or else they wouldn't have even made the playoffs. So, and then there was that lucky game, that first game of the playoffs, lucky kind of against the Packers. So, all Aaron Rodgers had to do was run in a wide open, 8-yard run, and they would have lost. So, I felt like I was really right, but the football gods were giving it to Tom Brady to kind of cement his legacy of being the best quarterback, best football player of all time, and doing something that no other quarterback, or especially the Montanas or any one of those worlds, have ever done previously. So it kind of cements his reality. Bucks still have 2 Super Bowls. They're still about 3 behind my Cowboys, I believe. So they got a long way to go.
So in short, whoever wrote that, Taylor will never admit when he's wrong. So sorry. I mean, I saw a lot of people saying too, the Bucks won't repeat unless they get the same referee group that they had this year. A lot of calls, questionable calls and things. Do you think the Bucks can repeat? Because you see JJ Watt was released. A lot of people are talking about maybe he would come on a veteran contract. I heard Adrian Peterson wants to come play with Tom Brady. It's not guaranteed they win again.
No. And that was one of the things that we talked about prior to the Super Bowl. We talked about about the refs, just because there's been so many questionable calls, and how calls can really dictate the outcome of the game or the grand scheme of the game, but also the fact that the salary cap's going down. So because the salary cap's going down, a lot of these veteran players on these teams, like maybe a JPP or an Ndamukong Suh, are going to get the axe, because unless you're going to sign for the veterans minimum, you're not going to be able to go on to those teams. So because the cap's going down, a lot of these veteran players are going to get cut, and you're going to be going with a lot of the younger guys. And when you have younger guys going out there who really don't know, schemes or footballs or tendencies or anything like that, it's going to change up a lot of teams. I feel like not only the Bucks, but the Chiefs as well. But when you have someone like Patrick Mahomes, you automatically assume that, they're going to be right back in the thick of things. And that's why already the odds out for next year is that the Chiefs are the favorite to win the Super Bowl already next year. The Bucks are still up there again. I think they're 3rd or 4th. But, when you have Patrick Mahomes.
Evans said he would probably take a pay cut actually to stay, but Chris Godwin's going to want to get paid, and the Bucks were already, a couple of years ago, they were really up against the salary cap. I think they were over the cap. So yeah, right now it's all fun and great and everyone's celebrating and let's, run it back and do this again next year. But when it comes time for guys to get paid and things like that, yeah, it's a different story when you're sitting at the table looking at what you're going to make and if you can make more somewhere else.
Right. And, some guys have gotten paid. Some guys haven't gotten paid. I mean, when you got $100 million in the bank, okay, yeah, I'll take a pay cut. But when you're, struggling, when you got 6 kids that you got to pay for, it's, you gotta be able to find ways to make some money.
Yeah. I'm worried about Phillip Rivers and his 22 children now that he's retired. Like, where is he going to be working? We see him down at the Costco. He's still got to pay for those children somehow.
Yeah, maybe he did the Chad Pennington thing where you drove the same car from college throughout the whole life, and he's not divorced, so he's not like he's got to pay for those kids, pay child support or anything for those. So he's okay right there. He's not picking up the Sean Kemp lifestyle, so he's doing okay. I think okay.
All right, so Phillip Rivers is feeding all the mouths, which is good. Well, going looking towards the future now of the NFL, I have been seeing these blockbuster trade scenarios. God, I see this one crazy one where Russell Wilson's going to the Jets, Deshaun Watson's going to the 49ers, you got Jimmy G and Nick Bosa going to Seattle. I see another one where they had Deshaun Watson going to the Jets and Sam Darnold, or no, going to the Packers, Jordan Love going to Houston, and somehow Aaron Rodgers ending up in the 49ers. Jimmy G going back to New England. First of all, could they even pull off a thing where 3 or 4 big quarterbacks get moved in one move? Would that even be a possible thing?
I mean, it's gonna be tough salary cap wise. Once again, that's the biggest hurdle, and that was the biggest reason why that trade between Stafford and Goff, what worked out, where they had to deal so many picks over to the other side, and they needed a player that was making compensatory money to be able to trade back and forth, so they'd be able to do stuff like that. But that's the reason why the Wentz trade is taking so long. Everyone said it was going to be done, with the Colts or the Bears, last week, and it still hasn't been done yet. It's because of the money. And trying to figure out ways to make that work. The only trades I foresee are Watson and Wentz. Russell Wilson is just saying he's trying to preach to the front office to say he wants some offensive line help. Jimmy G may get moved just because he's kind of like a Wentz, where Shanahan, they're kind of dealing with his flaws. They're like a Goff type system where, they're working the system around the quarterback and his skill set, as opposed to, plug in the quarterback into a system that's already proven and already able to work. So I could see Wentz get moved, and the Texans are just idiots. He's going to hunker down for the long haul, and all he's going to do is be a distraction to that locker room. So I don't see why they don't deal him now and get 3 first-rounders and move on and just start. I mean, you got a new coach, new GM. You got rid of JJ Watt. I mean, just start fresh and just let's keep it moving.
Well, could you see? I mean, Urban Meyer's made some questionable decision making already as the Jags head coach, hiring that guy from Iowa. But could you see a situation? I've been saying this. Like, we're looking at all these blockbuster trades. Like, yeah, where's this guy gonna go? That guy gonna go? Like, something sneaks up where they trade the number 1 overall pick for Deshaun Watson, Trevor Lawrence, and then they can start fresh in Houston with Trevor Lawrence. Could that actually happen?
I'd be happy if I was a Jags fan and that was the case, because you already to have a proven. I mean, we've seen multiple number 1 picks that haven't worked out, like your Tim Couch, who's actually more of one of the more successful ones. He was in the league or as a backup for 9 or 10 years. But you have like Jamarcus. You have Rick Myers. I mean, you can go back further and further to people like that who haven't worked out. Where if you have a proven commodity and he's a superstar and he's set pretty much every franchise record that the Texans had as a quarterback last year, and they were terrible. So yeah, I'd be more excited to get Deshaun Watson than Trevor Lawrence, as much as, people say, the experts are saying that, he's as good as Andrew Luck, coming out of college. I would still much rather have Watson.
And then you go back to Carson Wentz. There was some talk yesterday that Zach Ertz could be moved instead. Could you see getting traded off that team first, Wentz or Ertz?
Well, they already said that they're parting ways, Ertz. So, I mean, he's going to be moving somewhere else. But so regardless, Wentz, they haven't officially said they're moving on from Wentz yet. They've kind of just been shopping around, and it's kind of it's just something that people assume. But they've already said that they're moving on from Wentz or from Ertz. So, Dallas Goedert's going to be the guy there, and Goddard's been getting more run and more play and kind of been more productive this past year or two anyways. So it makes sense on that regard.
I remember picked Zach Ertz number 1 overall in fantasy football a few years ago. I won't name names, but that was an interesting.
I remember that too.
Yeah, it wasn't a terrible pick, but I mean, it was definitely interesting. So we're there focusing on all these quarterbacks and stuff, but I feel like the big trade is going to be some surprise that nobody sees coming. Maybe running back or, some defensive guys move that we don't see happening, like because of the salary cap. What's going on with Dak Prescott? Is there a chance Dak Prescott's not a Cowboy next year?
There is still a chance. One of the big things that they're talking about these days is the hype video that they made, where they're saying they showed the hype video without Dak in it.
It was an oversight. How do you oversight?
They were saying it because he's technically not on the team right now because he's not signed. But it's really kind of a slap in the face to him. But I don't know. I don't know what Jerry Jones is doing in this aspect. I don't think it's really Jerry. I mean, Jerry doesn't really run the operations anymore. I mean, he's kind of the mouthpiece, but he's more of a figurehead at this point. It's more Stephen Jones doing things behind the scenes and making the deals and stuff like that. I mean, they have to sign Dak unless they pull off some blockbuster trade, where they move up into the top couple picks and be able to pick some new guy. But that's the only way I could foresee Dak going anywhere else.
Are they going to give him the money once? Do you think he's going to get that contract?
He's gonna have to make 40, I think, because right now the franchise tag you're looking at 37 or so. So he's gonna want more than that. And so Mahomes money, you're looking at 5 years, 200 mil, and even at that, like we mentioned before, in 5 years from now, that's actually going to be a deal. So making 40 mil for a quarterback, unfortunately, that's where the money's going. The only reason why salary caps and everything's going down these days is because of COVID. The revenue's not coming in as big as it. That's why they say, oh, ratings are down. It's like, no, people that love sports or that love football are watching football. It's just the fact of COVID and everything like that. People aren't able to get out. People aren't able to go to the games. People aren't able to buy merchandise. If you're at somewhere and you have merchandise in your face, people are more apt to buy it as opposed to search online for it and go to the
and a lot of people have lost their jobs and people, are hurting financially. So they're not going to go spend $150 on a jersey if they can right now.
Right. Exactly.
I was actually looking at NBA ratings. I was watching some NBA last night and I was like, it's not as fun without the fans there, honestly. And I was looking to see if their ratings are down. Actually, NBA ratings are as good or better than they were last year. Well, I guess last year they were in the middle of the season last year. About this point is I think when they stopped playing stoppage. But yeah, so people are at home. There's not things to do. A lot of sports bars in a lot of states aren't open yet. I know states are opening, so people are watching. It's kind of
and it's also tougher because of the a lot of cord cutters on the cable side as well. So you only have streaming services, and unless you subscribe to one of the sports streaming services, you're not going to really watch that many sports. Like I watch stuff on ESPN, and that's really about it. I have stuff online. My hockey package and my baseball package, and I'll go to the bar to watch football. But without that, it's really tough to watch some sports.
Well, I actually put that in my little rundown for today. It was going to be at the end of the thing, but I was watching the Lakers game last night. I have Hulu, live sports on Hulu. And my Hulu kind of lagged, and I have great internet service. I have the fastest internet service. I mean, it's great. My Hulu lagged a little. I get a notification that the Lakers had lost. I look at my Hulu. There was still 4 minutes left in the game. so that's like why I was watching a Browns game earlier this season. I was messaging our group, our Sports Caffeine group, saying, please don't say anything because I'm like a minute behind. And I don't want, my dad's texting me like touchdown. I'm like, well, I'll see that in a minute. Thanks a lot, Dad. So streaming starts is like definitely difficult too in a time of Twitter and instant information because I'm looking at Twitter and I'm seeing all these things, and Hulu is like a minute lag on their streaming services for sports. So.
Well, and not only that, but you get your updates on your like ESPN will send you an update to your phone of like the ending of a game anyway. So I get those alerts and notifications anyway. So it's like, oh man, that's the score, and I'm still watching it. So yeah,
I was like, well, I don't have to watch this anymore. I guess I can go to bed now. Going back to the NBA, so LeBron James and Kyle Kuzma got in trouble for flopping. The anti-flopping rule, I believe, started in like years ago, like 10 years ago or something like that.
Has it been that
I thought it said 2011. I may be wrong on that. But if someone wants to check that out for me. And since that anti-flopping rule has been in effect, only 6 players have really gotten dinged for it. And 2 were on the Lakers just the other day.
I know that's
I bet you loved it because you hate LeBron.
Loved it. Yeah, well, I obviously LeBron is a great player, but my big troll move for LeBron is as much as he flops. So he not only gets a ton of calls like James Harden, like I can't stand watching James Harden just because all he tries to do is initiate fouls the whole time. And he basically just dribbles around until he initiates a foul. And LeBron is so big and just runs people over all game, but then he like flops. So it just doesn't make any sense. It like drives me nuts. So basically, my big troll move is always find those memes of LeBron like flopping and doing this crazy stuff, and I send them to Sean over and over again, and other Lakers fans who are, or even when you were a Cavs fan, I would send them to Cavs fans just because it's so unnecessary for him to be able to do that. And it's one of the
good. Like at least act good. Like he's not a good actor. I think he's been in one movie that I saw, that Trainwreck movie, and like the reason he hasn't been hired for other movies is you're not a good actor, LeBron. So yeah, it is really, blatant and ridiculous when he flops. Like you said, he's so big, and it's just like, oh,
Yeah, and
and
someone doesn't even like it, like misses him, and he'll look like, oh, it's like, come on, LeBron, you don't need to. You're the best player on the planet. You don't need to do this extra stuff. And granted, it's like soccer. People are like, well, then don't call the foul. It's like that's one of the reasons I don't like soccer is because it's so ridiculous to be able
honestly,
to
some
flop
of the
all
best
over.
videos, if you could, like look at YouTube's like some flopping compilations, and it's just hilarious because then it's slow motion. You see like a guy runs right by another guy, doesn't even touch him, and you're like watching it slow motion, and he's just falling on the ground, flailing his arms, like making a huge.
But that's the deal is that with him, it's just so unnecessary. He's so much bigger and stronger than everyone else on the court, even centers. So it's the fact that anyone would barely like touch him and he would just like fly, like jump into the stands. It's like, come on, LeBron, like chill out.
Do you want to see more players get dinged for this? Because they were fined, I believe, is the punishment for that. Not that money matters to LeBron, or do you think we'll see this going forward? More people, the NBA taking this a little bit more seriously?
I mean, I think they should. I think flopping's the worst. I remember seeing the one with Jimmy Butler the other day where he flopped on the ground. He was rolling on the ground, like looking out to see if anyone was still watching him, and then he popped up all of a sudden. So it's
like what your 5-year-old or 4-year-old kid does, He like cries, like fingers,
Yeah, he did it more with a little bit of humor, just the fact that he was kind of joking around about it, but it kind of shows the ridiculousness of flopping in general, and the fact that even some refs can get fooled by it. So it's because the game, they're going so fast, and I couldn't referee a game for sure. I can barely referee a baseball game to see out to first base, let alone a basketball game. So I think they should enforce it a little bit more. I hope they do, because I don't know. I mean, fouls are the worst, and just like James Harden shooting 40 free throws a game is the worst thing to watch on TV. And I would much rather anything happen than watch more free throw shooting contests.
Yeah. I mentioned earlier, speaking of anything happening, that literally football's over. So we had PGA golf yesterday. We had the Daytona 500 yesterday. And I'm like, well, here I am watching. I watched the golf pretty much all weekend. I work in bars, so I had it on because that was the thing on. And Spieth was winning most of the weekend. And then Nate Lashley, I think is how you say his name, was about 18 under, leading, going in the whole 16, four putted the whole 16. And I mean, he wasn't like far away, and they got a little closer. Like he was like 8 feet away, missed. He was like 3 feet away, missed. It was. I read an article, Happy Gilmore-esque. If you haven't seen it, I recommend you guys kind of watch it. I just feel bad for the guy.
Or Tin Cup-esque. So
yeah, I mean, like Berger, I believe, is the guy who ended up winning that.
Daniel Berger. Yep.
Yeah, tournament. Spieth kind of blew it too, but it was just, I felt so bad for this guy. I mean,
and Daytona 500 also had an epic meltdown at the last lap. Two teammates crashed into each other and took each other, Keselowski and Logano. So
I heard there was a huge 10-car pileup. I didn't watch any of it because there was a weather delay. 16. There was a weather delay for the longest time. So by the time what time did it end at?
Late. It was under the lights, so it was late. I watched until the weather delay because there was the 16-car pileup and then lightning, and then it started pouring. Like they happened at the same time. So and then it was a couple-hour delay, so I stopped watching it. And I was watching the golf, and and then I went back at the end and I saw that big crash. So I'm so excited for more stuff going on. Hockey obviously going on. I mean, Tampa Bay. I mean, Tampa, the Lightning.
Titletown, Tampa, you mean?
Man, they are just wrecking everyone. They won. I watched the game the other night. They were up 6-1 on Florida. So
yeah, I want to know what they're like averaging in goals. I feel like every time I look at or I get a score coming across my phone, it's like Tampa 6 goals, 6 to something, 8 to something. I think they even had a game, and Stamkos hasn't even been playing. I guess he's coming back soon. They said he had lower body injury, and then he was on a COVID list for a minute, I believe. I think he's going to be coming back. And what else is happening is spring training, and I looked it up. Your Blue Jays are playing here in Tampa for their opening day against the New York Yankees on February 28th. What's your outlook for that game? I guarantee you have an outlook on this game.
Oh yeah. So pitchers and catchers report on the 18th for us. So that'll be this Thursday or so, and then the rest of the players report next Monday. I'm super excited. Obviously, my Blue Jays have made a bunch of moves. I know, obviously, Tampa fans are excited with the Rays run, even though they, once again, every offseason they churned over their roster like they do every single year. I'm sure they're excited because they always can make Moneyball work. My Blue Jays are coming here to Sarasota March 21st. So I'm excited to see some of the young guys in person. Bring my little guy out there and say hi to some of the
Are we
players.
allowing fans at spring training? I don't know what the rules are yet.
So funny thing is that I bought tickets to the Blue Jays game and like the week before COVID hit. So I bought spring training games to the Orioles game and the COVID hit the week before. I don't know if they are or not. I know they're selling tickets.
Okay.
But we'll see. We'll see how things go.
I mean, Florida is like there's no COVID in Florida because we don't really make a lot of rules. I have friends that come down from other states and they don't take their mask off when they go anywhere, and I'm like, you don't need that. And they're like, why? I was like, because it's Florida. I'm like, they don't do. I mean, so just like they have 22,000 fans at the Super Bowl. Just like, I'm assuming Ron DeSantis, our governor, said he wants packed stadiums. He wants business. He wants people going out and driving and things. And which is a good time to look into maybe getting jobs with some of these teams too. We like to do sports radio and stuff. And I know a friend of ours who got hired by the Toronto Raptors since they're here in Tampa. Another friend of ours worked in the WNBA bubble. So it's a great time if you're trying to, if you're in Florida to, these jobs are going to start opening up again. And so looking forward to that. Maybe I can get a sideline reporting job somewhere.
Yeah, nice. For sure.
That'd be great. Nobody's going to hire you though. So I wouldn't even apply.
No. No one's that bold in there.
Yeah, or desperate,
Whichever way you want to look at it.
So yeah, but also the PGA Tour is coming to the area and at the Concessions Golf Club in Lakewood Ranch here in the next couple of weeks. I believe that's 2 weeks from now. So
yeah, I know we'll see some. I know. I remember, a couple years ago, John Rahm and them were at Rafferty's Bar and Grill. I know Phil is going to be down here as well. Dustin Johnson. So they all live on the other coast over at Jupiter. So it's not that far of a haul for them to come across the state. And, for us to be able to see some of them out and about and run into them would be pretty awesome. Get some interviews with them or at least have a chat with them, because I know John Rahm is a good person and a good dude. So I'd love to, see how some of those other people are doing. Other guys are doing. I love going to, if you've never been to a PGA Tour event before, and not like an uppity Masters one.
Yeah
if you like I've been to TPC Sawgrass in Jacksonville, and I used to go to the Colonial and stuff out in Dallas. Those are freaking parties, just like the one they had in Scottsdale. It is a lot of fun. So if you can make it down to Concession and be able to go to that, I'd highly recommend it, because it's a lot of fun. For sure.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping just again, we live in this crazy world now where it's a lot of fun things have been not so fun. There's been a damper put on our fun. So, at least we're rolling out this vaccine. Hopefully we're going to be having fun again. Hopefully next football season, things will be back to normal.
Yeah. I mean, it's all has to do with this vaccine, so they say if everyone's vaccinated, then, or whatever percentage, I mean, that's what they're talking about. So
I was talking with a guest of mine at a bar, and he's a Kentucky basketball fan, and Kentucky basketball is abysmal this year. Actually, Michigan's I think it's Gonzaga, Baylor, Michigan, Ohio State are your top 4 teams, which is, there's my go Ohio State, but it's really a random year. There's no Kansas, there's no Kentucky, there's no these teams you expect. And a guy I was talking to was actually talking to Coach Calipari, and he said, it's because these kids are 18 years old and they thrive on the motivation and the environment, the fans cheering, the school spirit, and they're not NBA players that go out there and do their job. Yeah. And then they go on the internet and they're reading all they see in social media is, oh, Kentucky sucks. And why do they suck so bad? And these poor 18-year-old kids are like, oh, we suck. And, and it's hard for them to get motivated for the game. And it's going to be a very interesting NCAA tournament all taking place in Indianapolis. So there's be some teams that are there for 1 weekend and some teams that are in Indianapolis for, 4 or 5 weeks staying there. So I really do.
They nixed the combine too, didn't they, up there in Indianapolis?
They did. That's why Trevor Lawrence was doing a virtual pro day, which he threw at, which is sad because the combine is always a good time for us. The Sports Caffeine crew likes to go up there and the combine part's fun, but it's just the going out in Indianapolis, the mingling with other reporters, the running into the coaches. Like we ran into Jalen Hurts last year. The combine's a really good time. So looking forward to them bringing that back and going back there next year too. Indianapolis is a great city, totally underrated city too. It's very affordable. You can walk everywhere. So the NCAA tournament should be good up there for them.
I have no clue about. I'm very, besides me knowing that the fact that none of the blue bloods are ranked, North Carolina's, Dukes, any of those guys. I have no idea. I know.
Yeah, I think ratings might be down for college NCAA basketball. I haven't looked. I haven't watched much of it. I am so embarrassed to admit I didn't even know Ohio State was number 4. I knew we were top 10, and they were playing Indiana the other day, and I had it on. I was like, oh wow, we're 4. That's great. And I was like, let me see who the other top 3 are. And then I saw Michigan was number 3, and I was like, or they might even be number 2 now. But it's it'll be interesting. Are you gonna fill out a bracket this year?
Yeah, I got to fill one out every year. I mean, no matter what, even though I feel usually pretty confident going into most of them, and none of them ever work out, obviously. But because I always pick Duke to win every year, and only when they win is when it works out. So,
my mom does that same thing. That's my mom's strategy. She met Coach K once at like a conference like 20 years ago, and so ever since then, but she won 10 times picking Duke every year.
Right.
And honestly, the less you know, the better you usually do. It's always like that girl who's like, I don't know anything. I'll go buy the colors or the mascots. And then all of a sudden I am paying her out like $600. And she's like, oh, thank you. Go buy new colors.
Yeah, so I'll definitely do one. I mean, it's coming here pretty soon. So
yeah, I'll give us something to watch. And just at least we have sports, because this time last year, around this time is when all the sports shut down and all we could talk about was Tiger King. I think we did about 6 different shows discussing the Tiger King last year. So it was rough. So, well, thanks for being here, guys. We are going to be doing a little half-hour show every Monday morning at 9 a.m. just to wake you up, start your week off right. Join us, ask your questions. Taylor's always happy to talk crap back to you.
Follow me, troll me on Twitter at any time. I should have put my handle on here, but it's Maville Taylor, my last name, first name first. Follow Kristen. You probably can find some of my trolls on her page or on the Sports Caffeine page. Other than that, we look forward to definitely seeing you guys out at spring training if we can. And other than that, maybe some hockey games as well, but we'll be here on the Twitter sphere anytime you guys want to chat.
All right, guys. Have a great day. A great week.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Sports Caffeine, available for streaming on fanstreamsports.com and FanStream Sports, the app.